Good morning. Welcome to my channel. My name is Amy, and I am a healer, or I am a past life regression practitioner. Um, I am a mom of 3. I've been actually trying to make this video all morning, and it's been very difficult. And I'm here today to share some of my past life regression experiences to date. Now, I am pretty new to what I'm doing, but it definitely feels like something that I've been doing for thousands of years. I truly love past life regression. It is a very healing and very eye-opening process. To anybody who doesn't know what that is, I will give you a brief description, and then I will share with you the experiences that I've had with one particular client. I've done 2 sessions with them, and wow, it's been amazing. So let's start with what is past life regression. So past life regression is basically you go to a practitioner like myself or some other person that you resonate with. You definitely want to make sure that you feel safe and that you feel as though you can trust them. If you don't resonate with them, I will do a video on that later. If you don't resonate with them, then I don't suggest you take that person because they may not be the right person for you. So past life regression, you would find a person like me. You would set your session. Sessions take roughly 2 hours. They sometimes go a little late and they sometimes go a little less depending on what your session is meant to do, and what we find along the way. Um, you I do all mine distantly so far, so you would lay down in the comfort of your own home on your bed or sit on your couch or do whatever makes you comfortable. The point is for you to be comfortable. And I would introduce myself. I would explain to you this process, which we would start with an induction. So, an induction is basically I take you through a very relaxing script that brings you to a theta brainwave, which is also known as a hypnotic trance. And in that hypnotic trance, your conscious mind sits to the side. And when it sits to the side, it allows that inner you, the inner self, the higher self, the soul, to be able to communicate openly and honestly with me. Now, I fully trust the subconscious mind. It has been very eye opening experiencing this with other people. Um, if you say were to lie to me about something before we went into a session, your subconscious mind would not lie about it. It would tell me the truth, which is very interesting. I do not know why we aren't using this in like all forensic details, but I don't ask questions. It's not up to me. So during that trance, I would take you either back to a beautiful childhood moment, or I would take you to one of your past lives directly. We could also go through childhood into the womb. The possibilities of this process are absolutely endless. It's If your mind can think of a way to use this for healing, it can be used that way for healing. It's incredible. So during that stance, we would get to the root cause of a problem, say, say depression or suicidal thoughts or physical pain that is in your body and you have no idea why it's there, but you just can't seem to shake it. Um, Feelings of loneliness or being able to deal with trauma from your childhood, or maybe you've got blocked memories from your childhood. A therapist like me could work their way to that childhood memory and be able to bring that trauma to the forefront and be able to then take you through a healing process. Now, my sessions have been very sporadic. I follow the conscious mind because I trust you to know you better than anybody else. And I trust you to know exactly what you need to heal. I trust your subconscious to know where those issues even came from. And at the end, we go through all our healing modalities. And even through the process, I like to do different things, different healings. I use different light therapies, I use different color therapies. We do some transmuting. We heal down to a DNA and cellular level. We do a lot of really amazing things. And it depends on the problem, it depends on the situation, it depends on the person and what they're willing to experience. But I always ask the subconscious for permission and if they would like to try this sort of healing so that I can find something that suits them. Every person is different, every experience is different. Now, let's get into my experience with this particular client. Now, this particular client is a beautiful soul. They have some really amazing natural gifts. And when I came to them and we decided to start doing this, we had no idea what we were going to find ourselves in. They had come to me and said that they had had some depression throughout their lives that they really didn't understand because their life was beautiful and there was no reason, nothing they could think of that would have caused it. Now there was a lot of suicidal thoughts within that frame, and they had never really talked about it with anyone before. Now I pride myself on being a safe place for others. I pride myself on being able to allow people to open up, and it is something that people have been doing with me my entire life. I am very comfortable. Nothing is crazy to me because I am likely crazier than what you're coming up with. So, it makes it easy. So when this client came to me, I thought they would be a really cool case. Now, I was using them for my certification process. So it was a free session that I had just offered up. And when we got into that free session, we started to explore back through their family and through their childhood. We went to a beautiful childhood moment, and it was so vivid, the description that they were able to give me. We explored it, we anchored it, we let those loving moments stay, and then we followed a lot of dysfunction in that childhood and a lot of dysfunction within that family as a whole. And I'm not talking like mother, father, brother, sisters. I'm talking grandparents. I'm talking aunts and uncles. A lot of dysfunction within the entire family with no real explanation. It's like I couldn't get to what had been causing all that dysfunction. So we traveled back after realizing that one of the moments that we explored, that there was a soul they could recognize. And when they recognized that soul, the words, "Oh my God, I think they killed me in a past life," came out. And when those words came out, it was a shock because it was like all of a sudden we were following a new trail of breadcrumbs that had nothing to do with the family dysfunction, but it was leading us into a very specific past life. So we followed that trail to that specific past life, and it ended up taking us to this moment in time in a past life where this client had been in a abusive relationship and they were fearful for their life. Now, the moment in time, there was an abusive husband or boyfriend at the time, and they were driving an old GMC truck before CDs were ever put into it. So it was just an old style with a radio. And they could describe the truck, they could describe where they were and what they were doing and how they were walking down the side of the road. And this person was yelling at them and calling them a whore and calling them a slut, being absolutely outrageous. They had been drinking and they were being a mean drunk, which is something that was a constant. And this soul, that my client, they could describe that this was how this person was treating them. They were yelling at them to tell them to get into the car. So in this lifetime, the client had decided to get into the car against their own free will. They did not want to do it, but they thought it was the only option. And mere moments later, they hit a wall, and this client could describe to me the death that had happened and how their head had been smashed in. And they could describe the lights of the first responders glistening off the glass in the face of the abuser. And in their current lifetime, they realized that they had actually had a similar experience with that exact same soul. And during that similar experience, they had decided to not get in that car this time. And that gave their soul a sense of peace, knowing that she had made a different decision and that they had healed that line. And being able to take a look at the current lifetime, she's seen the different trajectory that was put in place, and that they had both went on to have beautiful lives, and that neither one of them had the issues that they had had in that past life. So it gave us a view into a completion, so to speak, and how that contract had changed and how it had been filled out. Now, in the past life, they had mentioned that they were crushed because they had left their daughter behind. Now, in the current life, they had had another child, and that child was alive, happy, and a beautiful little soul who now got to live with their soul contract to their mother and father still in play, which changed the course of history for those two souls and allowed them freedom to go in a different direction. Now, after we did the healing modalities and we did everything we needed to do to complete that past life, we moved on to another past life. And in this past life, they had come into vision as this little boy who was 13 years old, and he was standing on top of a light post, which, I mean, people don't normally stand on the top of light posts, right? So, of course, we asked the question. In front of that little boy was a house that was burning down. And the client could tell me that she felt the little boy had either been in the fire or started the fire, or that he had some form of regret. And we couldn't figure out what it was. Now, our session went on and it ran out of time. So we decided to leave it there. And we decided to come back to it later. Now, after the session, when this client decided that they were going to go and they were going to explore through some details in their own life, they found some familiarities. The name of that little boy was actually the name of a family member in their lineage. And that family member had passed away at a young age of 13. They had actually committed suicide, and they had left a long line of sadness behind them. Now, when we decided to get into another session, we knew that we were going to follow that lifetime. We wanted to bring peace to this family. This family hasn't had peace in their lineage for a very, very long time. And our session was going to be aimed at attempting to bring that forth. Now, our last session, and hopefully it won't be our last, because this is definitely one of my favorite clients. Their receptiveness to this process and the beauty that comes from it, I hope we get to go further and we get to explore all kinds of new things. I believe from our experience that soul is definitely going to be one of the ones that probably didn't originate here, and I would love to explore that with them. But that's something that will come to me when it's ready. I believe very strongly in divine timing. So anyways, let's get back to it. So the case study yesterday, when we decided to go under and we decided to look at it again, we went a different route. I had learned some new techniques, and I decided to take them to a point where they could see and visualize and communicate with their personal genetic lineage, which, I mean, that's all the female side, moms, aunts, grandmothers, great grandmothers, all the way going back for I don't even know how long. All the male side, the fathers, all the children they had birthed, like lineages. I'm talking ancestors, like. And when we brought them forth, we asked them for some messages. And the messages we started getting was all about how to heal the family and what they needed to do, and the sadness and the regret that was there. There had been a lot of suicide throughout the lineage, which we then learned was a theme that was coming forward. And that this client in particular was designed and meant to be the strong one, to fight those thoughts and to be able to bring peace to that family line. Now, I believe that Everybody signs on to their family for a reason. We sign on to that before we come in because that family is designed for our specific growth, and that there is something that we can add to it if we so choose to do that in this life. We all have free will. Nobody can make us do anything we don't want to do. And it's beautiful what we can do, right? When we put our minds to it. So sitting through, the client then tells me that they could see a gate, and that this gate was closed, and that there was nothing on the other side except for a dead tree. Now, my intuition told me that we needed to go to that tree and that we needed to bring that tree back to life. My first instinct was this is probably a family tree, and that the family tree needs to be brought back to life in order for there to be some form of peace. So, following my intuition, which is part of the toolkit for practitioners for sure, I led her through the gate, and we walked over to the tree and we sat with it. And then I asked her to help me heal the tree. So I sat here and used my rainbow energy, and I described that to my client, and they then they even moved their hands in real life. I watched them on camera move their hands, and I could watch them help me heal the tree. And throughout the process, I'd ask questions about what the tree looked like. And it started off with the tree was slowly growing. And then the tree was starting to get green. I brought in rain. We brought in sun. We helped give that tree the love, the nutrition, the nourishment that it needed in order to be able to grow. And by the time we were done, the tree was back in full force. It was back, it was beautiful, and it was healthy. It was growing. And at that point, the client was like, my head. So I asked her to sit with me, and we re-healed her. We drank from a golden chalice that was full of rainbow loving energy and allowed that to wash through every atom of their being. And I could physically watch the reaction that they had to this healing modality. So I know for a fact that these things are happening in their subconscious, and their subconscious is making this happen for real. Now, if you understand energy, and if you understand the detail that's happening here, you can see how this process could be used in countless ways to heal countless things. And I'm just getting started, but I have the willingness to think outside of the box and to push the envelope. So I'm very excited to see who comes my way in the future and what we can heal. So let's just get back to the story though. And when we turn around, all of the family that was looking at her, who had originally been so sad and so unhappy and so regretful over their decisions in their lives for leaving their children and doing all the things, they were all standing there smiling as if we had just completed something truly monumental. So when I asked if this was the client's family tree, I got a no. And the subconscious would know. The subconscious would absolutely know if that tree was linked to their specific family lineage. And we'll get into the tree again before I'm done. But right now, when that was done, I asked the client if we were completed here, and I got a yes. So we decided to move on to wherever they needed to go, and we just let it happen. And suddenly, they were sitting with their nan and this little boy who had been one of their family members from the past. And he had messages galore for us. He had messages about how he was sorry for what he had done, and how he knew that it was not the right call, and that he knew that his decision had brought such sadness to his family going forward, and that he regretted that decision, and that they had been trying to, that aspect of their soul had been trying to communicate with this client their whole life, to try and bring awareness, to try and get that communication lit up, and that the suicidal and the depression thoughts were not actually the clients, and that it was theirs, and that they were so happy that they were finally being heard, because they knew that they could rest now. So we gave that little boy a hug. We took all of their messages, which I won't go into great detail because, I mean, this is somebody else's life, right? Um, all the messages to bring forth for proof of their family so that this client could bring that information forth to their family and help heal their family in the now time, in the current life, in the future, so that everything going forward could just be a little happier. This entire theme of depression and suicide that went back generations and generations can now finally be put to rest because this client took awareness of it and decided to give me a little bit of trust and to allow me to see within their soul. And when we followed that journey, we found an excessive theme that, I mean, needed to be put to rest. And after the communication with this little boy, when we watched this little boy climb into his coffin and allow himself to have peace, the client was taken to a place of just pure white light. And when I asked how it made them feel, it made them feel freedom. Freedom from those emotions. Freedom from ever having to feel that way again, because that little boy had allowed their soul to rest finally, because the message that they had been attempting to reignite within this client was finally out there, and she was able to do whatever she needed to do with that to help that family heal. Now, this is monumental to me. I had no expectations that this is how this client was going to feel and how this story was going to go, but through this process, I know that the potential for healing an entire family, generations of family, was there at our fingertips. In the matter of 4 hours, 2 sessions, we had gone through countless souls and countless lives and countless energies that could finally be released. And I mean, that's beautiful, right? Like, if you're suffering and you don't know why you're suffering, there could be a reason for it that you really don't understand. That is truly a part of your subconscious and your soul's journey on this earth, which, I mean, do you really know how long and how many lives you've had until you take the chance to explore it? Um, Now let's talk about that tree again for a second. Okay, so that tree, neither one of us could figure out what that tree was. But I trust the universe to bring me messages. I get them all the time. And lately, since I've started doing sessions and I've started doing videos, I've had less time for actually watching stuff. So yesterday I was feeling a little disconnected and I decided to turn on a video. Just a YouTube video, you know, like one of the transmissions from people or tarot, like whatever, just something that brings me peace. And as this video was going on, I suddenly tuned into this section of the video, and it started talking about how there are soul trees and that there are only 333 of them within the earthly realm, and that they were in desperate need of healing. Now, I've never heard of these soul trees before. This is the first I'm hearing about it. But of course, there's always things that ignite new transmissions, new information that comes in. Learning is always there. And I absolutely trust what comes to me when it needs to come to me because I've been through too much. I've experienced way too much not to believe that. Um, so I am now looking for more information about soul trees and what these are and where the concept is, because I vibrated so hard I cried when that transmission come on. So I know my soul resonated with that. My soul connected to that concept. And I truly believe that this tree within our session with Past the Gate that only this client was able to get to. None of the other souls from her lineage were able to go through the gate, but they wanted her to because they knew it needed to happen. And I am so thankful for my intuition and my client's trust in me to allow us to go and heal what I think may have been potentially very powerful for, I mean, the entire collective. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you know anything about this soul tree concept, I would love to hear more about it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, do all that jazz. But I would really like to know more. If you know a place where there's more info, if there's a video you've seen, if you've had dreams or downloads yourself about this concept, I would really, really, really love to hear it, because I believe that I have more trees to find, and that healing of those is something that's powerful for everyone. Okay. Um, so this is just one session. I believe this client is going to go forth and live a much happier life. Now, I don't know what's going to happen when the information that we got from that little boy is brought to the forefront. It's a very touchy subject, and it's one that I don't feel comfortable explaining completely, because I don't want to. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. They gave me permission to talk, and I would like to keep some things to myself because, I mean, client, patients, right? Like, that's just how things work. And even without client, patient, I believe in privacy. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but knowing that in some way I may have helped bring a family some peace that they have needed for countless years. I am so honored to be a part of that session, to be a part of that mission, to allow my soul to be able to help other souls is truly beautiful. I will be sharing more experiences as I go, because I think the power of PLR therapy is amazing. And considering I really only got into this not a long ago, and I'm already seeing the way that it can transform people's lives in monumental ways, I am so excited to share my experience. I'm so excited to bring that awareness out there and to allow other people to be aware that these things can really happen. Have you been suffering with migraines your entire life and don't know why? It could be attached to a past life. Are you suffering with infertility? That could be attached to a past life. Back pain, depression, everything that happens within this physical body could absolutely be attached to a past life. And until you truly decide to dig into that, you don't know for sure. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be a past life. This life, trauma from this life, energy builds up. It becomes stagnant. It becomes static in our field. And we need to release those things in order to be able to heal from those things. I like to say you need to feel it to heal it, right? It just kind of makes sense. Um, so if you have questions, if you would like to book a session, if you know anything about soul trees, please just comment below. You can find me at Emerald Rose Healing on Facebook if you want to reach out directly so we can actually chat. I have a TikTok too under the amazing Amy, and there I just kind of share some crystal information. I do some pendulum work. I kind of share my more personal life. So if you want to get to know more about me, that's probably where you're going to find it. Now, this is my first communication about my experience through sessions. I will be making more videos. If you have lasted this long through it, I truly hope you come back for more. With infinite love and gratitude, have a blessed day.